Hello and welcome to Insights with Thomas Caldwell on Thursday, April the 4th, 2024. Tom, there was an open letter in the Globe and Mail signed by many Canadian business leaders and politicians, and it was about the need for more civility in our Canadian political debates. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that was very important to add. I think Barry Campbell was one of the initiators of that. Many years ago, I was in Quebec City at a meeting, and the people there were almost all separatist. And I was chatting with one fellow who was quite adamant, and we were going back and forth a little bit. And I said, if Quebec separates, we have to make the terms very harsh. And he said, what sort of terms would you make? And I said, well, first off, you have to take Ottawa as part of the deal. And we sort of both chuckled, and he said, well, the deal is off then. The point is not my humorous comment and his response, and I think we had a beer together after that. It's the fact that we could talk, even though we were widely opposed to each other's views. My family's from Northern Ireland. We understand violence and sectarian violence. But I remember we had lots of parties and Irishmen at our home, Irish people at our home. And at which side of the divide you were on, they all got together because everybody. The unspoken thing was they left their luggage at the door. They came to Canada for a new and better life, a restart, and they left that behind them. So we would have Catholics, Protestant, Orangemen in the house. They were Irish. And I think one of the things we have to remember about Canada, well, first off, if you're coming from another place, welcome, but leave your luggage at the door. If you're from Canada, remember who we are. That's one of the problems of not teaching history. You weren't safe as a slave until you got to Canada. This is where the Underground Railroad ended. Canada has been a steam valve for people under persecution. You came here for freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of movement, action, whatever, to live your life. And tens of thousands of Canadians have died for that. That's what Canada is, and we should be teaching more of that in school. The problem now is, listen, I know a little bit about wars. I've been in the hospital in Kandahar Airfield where I've seen children who've been maimed. One little girl, she was not going to live through the night. And the point here is, the people who start wars never calculate the cost because they don't pay it. It's the innocents that paid it. And I think we have to remember, this is a tragedy. Whatever's going on, whether it be in the Ukraine, whether it be in Gaza, everybody thinks this is terrible. But you know what? Don't start wars because you don't know what the outcome is. It's going to be pain for everybody. And the people who started this war, they're in Dubai or Abu Dhabi. They're not paying the price. These poor people are. But this is a war. And war has casualties, and it's usually the innocents. Don't start wars. But I think in Canada we have to remember who we are. This is a land of freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom of ideas. And we tend to forget this a little bit because there is sometimes division sowed. But we have to have civility and debate. If you're not talking, with people properly or so that you're not going to exchange ideas, you're not going to improve understanding. And threatening people in this country, this is not what Canada is about. And we have to stop that. And it's just unacceptable. And if you're really upset about these things, go back to those countries and see if you can help out in some way. But don't threaten Canadians of whatever faith, religion. And we're seeing it a lot. Close to 100 churches have been burned in Western Canada because of a scam. And, that's not acceptable. That's not published at all. So we are becoming a little bit tyrannical in our behavior toward one another. That's got to stop.
Okay, so let's move along. The markets and the economy, and they seem to reflect a certain optimism right now. So what do we have to worry about?
Well, we have to worry about nothing because no one's getting out of this alive anyway, so get some perspective about it all. The economy is doing well. The numbers are doing reasonably well. The markets are doing well. Part of it is, and part of it might be a fool's paradise, I don't know. But the point here is there's an awful lot of money looking for opportunity. And one of the things money is looking for these days is we have governments on both sides of the border here who are big spenders, creating horrendous deficits, taxing, inflation, etc. And it'll be back. It's always going to be there. And people are losing their confidence, not only in government, but in paper currency. That's why you're seeing gold pricing improving a little bit. You're seeing these cryptocurrencies all over the market. But I think what's happening is people are losing confidence, not only in government, but in paper money. So they're looking for alternatives. The only way you can protect against inflation, which is a permanent fact of life, the only way you can protect is by owning stuff, whether it be land, some permanent asset, and shares of good companies. That's you're owning stuff. Companies that can pass on costs, companies that can pay dividends. That's something that can protect your purchasing power. When I was a young person, being a millionaire was a really big deal. 20 years from now, $1 million is going to get you a set of radial tires or something like that. That's what inflation does. It debases a currency. So you don't want to stay in currency. You want to be in assets of some variety. And I think that's what this is reflecting to some degree. It's unsaid. I haven't seen it by analysts, but I think this is what's happening. People saying, I've got to own something aside from money. Cash is all right, fine for transactional stuff, but as a long-term asset, it's a debilitating asset.
Thank you so much for your insights, Tom.
You're very welcome.
And thank you all for watching. Bye for now.